Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Women's Sports Matter podcast. My name is Gianna Melcastro, and I'm your host. Today, I've got another person on the show. I'm not sitting by myself in my kitchen talking to myself for 30 to 45 minutes. Anyway, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, guys. I am Kaylen Buschhorn. I am the founder of the social media platform More Than Just Balls. And I'm a senior at McDaniel College and a member of the women's lacrosse team.
That's all you want to say? You got some other great stuff on your resume too, you know?
I am on the content team for Athletes Unlimited as a social media intern. And I am also on the content team, creative development for the University of Texas Athletics as well. So I kind of dabble in a bunch of parts of the sports industry. But yeah.
It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, college kids, you got to stay busy sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think the pandemic really showed me how much I can do. And that's really how More Than Just Balls was created. It was kind of like my pandemic baby. I was like, oh, I have all this extra time. What do I do? And so I created a social media platform to elevate women's sports. And it's grown into what it is today, which I'm really thankful for.
We both kind of started our own thing in the pandemic, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
The podcast, I guess, is my pandemic baby. I never even thought about calling it something like that. It's funny that you said that. Because it's it's just this little project that I have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in terms of both of our, I guess, most platforms, you know, I don't really think I've got much. In terms of Instagram, at those numbers, that's crazy. I can't even imagine my show ever reaching something like that, mostly because I'm a year into this and it's just I don't even like social media. But can you tell me about so when you did start the platform, what are some things that you had in mind?
Yeah, so I actually just hit 1 year of More Than Just Balls, so that was really cool. And I think what I kept in mind is I wasn't yes, there's just women's sports and highlight her, but I wasn't really seeing these mainstream sports media covering women's sports the way myself or my friends would want to see it covered. I think women's sports were always put on the back burner. And it's something that I'm one of those people that wakes up every morning and I turn on SportsCenter and SportsCenter's on. And there was a very low percentage of coverage. And so when I first started the platform, I was like, how can I first spotlight women in sport? And then second, which came a little bit later with activism, is how can I elevate the voices of women's sports that are often silenced, especially within cultures within sport, but also just problems that occur and the NCAA with all the March Madness stuff. And then also with just uniforms or just the daily struggles that women in sport go through that isn't covered just because, they're it's women's sports. At least you're playing. I'm like, okay, but we're playing in these environments that are sometimes toxic or not equitable to what our male counterparts are getting.
I just pulled up your account and the people that are listening, you know, there's 10,000 people. Well, more than 10,000 people following this account. And it's just first of all, the graphics for this, amazing. I don't know, my graphics that I make, I use PictoChart for crying out loud. So it's I don't want to pay for Photoshop because I don't do it that much. I post every Tuesday. So I'm just sitting here I'm just going to do this and I'm going to type in a little code and that's what I'm going to do. You this is, first of all, I love the colors that you use. It's just
Thank
orange,
you.
But it's different.
I love orange.
Yeah, it's just so good. And the layout of this, I'm just scrolling. It's so. I wish I had some sort of skill like that.
I kind of just I'm studying graphic design. Mm-hmm. So I'm a graphic design major and a triple minor in marketing, art history, and sport management. And so I really wanted to take all of those things and use them. And so it's a way for me to work on little graphic design, simple graphics every day, just to elevate, but also at the same time, just spotlight women because that's what it's all about. And that's what the account's about, is like, how can I get this information out visually pleasing, but also in the most shareable way possible? And that's why I've kept them so simple. It's because anybody can read them or anybody can see them.
I'm just such a fan of this account. Like I cannot express how much,
Well, thank you.
I'm always at a loss for words when there's accounts like this. And I'm sure that I don't even know what people say about mine because I'm so new and I hate social media so much. Like I was in Rosemont, Illinois the other day at some convention, and I was supposed to be doing a live recording of my show. It was supposed to go out on Tuesday. It didn't save. It didn't save at all. But at least the people that were there, they were. I feel like they were
to hear it.
First time supporters of women's sports, and I was explaining a lot of stuff to them, and I was sitting there like, I hate social media so much. Like I'm 19 years old and I hate social media, and the people, which is like well, I'm an adult too, I guess, but all these like older adults sitting there nodding their heads and like, yeah, I agree. Is there ever like a little struggle in terms of like, I feel burnt out because of social media, or social media is just like so bad, but there's also like a point where I need to post on social media because people need to see this stuff because, we need to show people like women's sports and what's happening and how we can help, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think it's more in the toxicity of the misogyny that comes with it. Like I think that I don't really get burnt out from creating graphics. Like I will always do that. But I think what I get burnt out from is just, and it also motivates me at the same time, which is weird, but seeing all the comments, not even on my account, which they do get toxic sometimes, but even on SportsCenter, like when they post a single thing about a women's sport, everybody's like, you do know the NFL season's going on, or like the NBA is here or whatever. And it's just, and it gets even more toxic than that. But it's like, I'm a football fan myself, so I will go sit down and watch football all the time. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's like, we can't just cover football on something that's called SportsCenter. SportsCenter, it's not called Football Center. It's not called Men's Basketball Center. It's called SportsCenter for a reason. And so I think what motivates me is seeing that toxicity and then being able to take my account and turn it around, turn it upside down on its head, and figure out a way to broadcast things in such a way that will help to detract from the toxicity that we see and bring a little bit of positivity into the world, as well as like upping the coverage of women's sports. But I don't really often get burnt out. Like I'll take breaks every now and then if I have a busy schedule with like lacrosse. Like we had a fall ball tournament this weekend, and so I took a couple days off because my parents came up to just like relax and rejuvenate, because I do run it all by myself. So there are some like mental health days that I take here and there, but it's a joy for me to do. So it doesn't really cause much stress.
Yeah, I used to do episodes twice a week, and it was like, no, thank you. Like no one told me to do how many episodes a week. I was just like, oh, I think it might be a good idea if I do two. I did that for like my first 2 seasons, and then I was like, towards the end of the second one, I was starting to realize like, oh, I have school and it's all online and I don't have a life besides that too. So it's like, I need to focus. I thought I was going to be transferring out of my community college. So I was like, I need to buckle down and focus on school. And then I ended up staying home anyway. All that hard work for nothing. And then I was like, okay, 1 episode is enough. And then I started making those graphics for when I have interviews, and maybe making another one for this too, because this is one of the conversation o'clocks, which now that I think about it, it's such a dumb little quirky name.
No, I love it. I think it's so
and
cute.
It's like, it's different and no one else has that kind of thing. Or some people are just, they name their episodes like the person's name, and it's like, no, that's not creative. But anyway, like making these graphics is also like, I feel like I put myself on this little thing where it's like, I'm gonna post on this day at this time, and then with social media, because how are people gonna know? And so then I wait. Well, I wait, air quotes, because then I'll have like work or school in the morning, and then I can't post, and then I'll post at like 12 when it's like 2 hours after it premiered, and it's like, I don't like doing this by myself. It's a struggle. It's such a struggle. And it's
Yeah.
like, this is not like, I don't get paid for this. I don't have any ad revenue. It's so hard, but it's so
Yeah.
rewarding too.
That's where that payment comes in. Like, even though we're not
Yeah.
getting paid to do what we are, like seeing, like I will get, especially since I have so many followers now, I'll get DMs from like parents or kids talking about like how inspiring the account is. And like that means so much more than a paycheck to me. And just seeing like people enjoy and consume or like repost the content is like the best part. And I try and like comment on everybody that reposts it. Now I couldn't do that with like the softball thing that hit like 40,000 likes. So I was like, I cannot respond to everybody, but I try and like have that connection with the followers that gives me kind of like a reward without being paid, because it is hard. And like I do sell stickers, so I get a little bit of payment, but I feel like the joy like outweighs the payment itself. So yeah,
it's
it's
fun
all
to
about
do
how you
this
look
stuff.
at it.
Yeah. It's fun to do this stuff. Like I didn't think that my in terms of social media accounts would have like the level of like, even though I'm at such a low number, it's still like I don't expect this
Yeah.
to be a thing. And the one thing that I think is super funny about all of this is I keep trying to tell people like I'm 19 years old, I am a
Mhm.
college student, and I am broke. Like I'm not putting any money into this really. And people think I'm some adult, which I am.
Yeah.
But it's like sometimes people
But
expect
like
a
a
little
fake
bit too
adult.
much. Yeah. Like we could
Because
be
I'm like
tried as
21.
adults.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm 21 and like I think about that sometimes, and I think about how many young creators we have like within the women's sports media landscape. And it's like everybody's like, oh, they're like in their 30s, full-time job. They just do this on the side. I'm like, no, this is like something that I will like stay in from going out with my friends, like to go to parties. Like I'm not a normal college student, because like I will like Saturday night, I'm like, oh, let's go find some women's sports stats. Like it's not like, oh my God, let me go party. Like, so it's something that's like turned into a hobby of mine more than, and a business more than just like oh, it's on the side. Like it's kind of something I identify with now.
Mhm.
And it, like people are starting to find out on my college campus that I run this page. And so they'll like walk up to me and like talk to me about it. And it's really fun, but it's at the same time, it's like people expect me to be like, this is my single job. I'm like,
Mhm.
nope, not it.
Nope. Nope. I'm not doing this as my job. Like I don't know if I've said it on here before, but like I have 3 jobs and I have 6 classes because community college, actually no, I need to take 6 classes so I can graduate on time because I have to take this other math class right now. So I can take another math class not next semester and then graduate.
We love
My
course
associates.
requirements.
Yeah. Love that. To be a journalism major, you need to have at least 1 math credit. And it's like, am I going to be writing about the Pythagorean theorem? I don't think so. Like, I
That's
don't,
how I felt about my math class. I was like, how am I going to use this?
like, I don't need it. It's such a pain
Yeah.
in my side. School
Like
is such a pain.
resizing in Photoshop. Like that's the math that I do.
Mm.
Or adding up stats, like figuring out like how much of the coverage is women's sports coverage percentages, but that's like the extent of my math.
Yeah, no, I don't do stats, so I don't think I ever will try and mess with that. If I see something on Twitter, I'll retweet it or I'll repost it on Instagram, and it's like, oh, you did the math. I'm gonna
Cool, I'll
repost it. I'm gonna repost
Exactly.
it. Thank you for doing all that hard work. You get a little retweet.
Yeah.
I want to ask you now about AU. We were talking about this before, but like, and I've talked about it on the show. Like, I'm such a freaking fan of AU. And I think I heard about it last year, but I only started to pay attention this year with softball. I think mostly because softball came back in the Olympics, and then I was seeing that it was going to be it where I live, basically in the state where I live. And I was like, oh, I should go and check this out. I hate softball. I know I don't hate it now. I used to hate softball. I was a baseball person growing up. I played
Yeah.
baseball. And my mom tried to get me into softball, and I was like, no, I'm good. And then later on in life, fast forward to now, it's something that I like to watch and will continue to watch. I want to know how you got involved with AU, what that process was like, and what did you think of your well, it's still going on right now, right? I was gonna say what do you think of your
Yeah.
time, but like what is the best part of it? That's gonna be my other
Yeah.
question.
So interestingly, I actually got DM'd on Twitter to get in contact with them because they were looking for a live tweeter for lacrosse. And so I'm a huge lacrosse player, so I know the game really well. And so I just came on during the lacrosse season as the live tweeter and clipper for lacrosse. So that was really fun and a really good experience to just elevate the lacrosse game, because lacrosse doesn't, as much as women's sports doesn't get recognition, lacrosse doesn't get recognition either. And so it was really cool to get to elevate the game. And then I ended up staying on for softball and I'd never played softball before. My sister did. I've watched it a couple times. I think it's a really interesting sport, but coming off of the Women's College World Series and being able to take that like hype around softball and work on one of the only softball leagues and a new league of its kind, which was really cool. And to be there for season 2 when it was the first season with fans, and it was the first time seeing all of these Olympic players after the Olympics. Like they came straight from Tokyo and played AU season. So that was a really cool experience, but also just being able to learn about social media and managing accounts and figuring out when to post where or how to interact with people has been very beneficial. But I think the best part about working for AU and still currently now is making those connections with women in sport, because it is such a small community. Well, it's a large community, but it's small for the people that get recognized or the people in professional sports, and just making those connections and seeing them thrive in platforms, or even just seeing them on Sports Center top 10. Like we had Odyssey Alexander make Sports Center top 10, which was so cool. And just seeing the growth of the game in front of your eyes is one of the coolest things about working with AU, because John and Jonathan, the founders, are really revolutionizing women's sports as we know it. And I think having a player driven league is really going to change the way we see sports and the leadership, because we've seen in the NWSL like how toxic it can get within the leadership. And I think having a player first model really prevents any of that toxicity from happening. And so Athletes Unlimited is really doing a good job to show that like the players matter and the players can coach themselves. Like there aren't coaches, and these players just, they will change teams every single week. And it's just so fun. It's like softball summer camp, like on steroids. And it's amazing because you get to see these players really play the game that they love, but play it to where every moment counts, which is one of the mottos of AU, to where they're playing for charities, which is really cool. So they have athlete causes where they can pick like what they want to give back to at the end of the season. And so having that extra motivation of you're playing for yourself, but you're also playing for your team is really cool, because they get really into it and they have like themed teams, like we have the purple unicorns, and just stuff like that, that make women's sports unique from just a traditional male dominated sports industry, is one of the coolest things about like seeing the growth of the game and the growth of Athletes Unlimited.
You can't really see this or find this anywhere else, like actually,
Mhm.
unless some I've seen some colleges are kind of like
Yeah.
copying it a little, well, not copying it,
Yeah.
they're using it.
Rowan did it, which was really cool because my friend's actually an assistant coach out there. And so it was really cool to see like how the colleges are taking our like scoring system and using it during their fall ball, which I thought was really cool, because it kind of opens up that competitiveness within the team, because they get really competitive. And I think that's the coolest model, is that like every single stat will either earn you points or deduct points. And so
Mhm.
everybody's like playing their hardest and it makes it so much more entertaining and fast paced and just more, I guess, like viewership friendly, and more entertaining.
I know some people are like get confused, I guess, with the scoring system.
It's
So
hard.
when I was there for opening day.
Yeah.
And I took my little cousins with me, and they play softball, and they were sitting there confused, like, why is there a +10 on the board? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I just got here.
Yeah.
Well, I figured it out. I was listening to the PA, and I did some research. I went on the AU website and I read about that a
Yeah.
little bit. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Why don't
Yeah.
other sports do this? Like, I love how, these people, they play for a cause, and they're
Mhm.
also like playing for themselves, like working on their game, and also like working with new people each week. Like, you don't have that. You don't have to worry about being traded to like somewhere across the country. You're there
Yeah.
for 5 weeks. You're just hanging out and playing softball and making up fun little team names. Like, my favorite that I saw was the Golden Arches with the Happy
Oh,
Meal.
the Golden Arches was so fun to post about. Like, they were one of the, like, I think they were the team that got most into it besides like the Purple Unicorns. But yeah, they got really into it. They had McDonald's. They were like pouring fries on their face. Like,
Mhm.
these like women are really like seeing where the AU model can take them and really taking every opportunity to like live out their dreams within these 5 weeks, but also at the same time elevate the sport. Because like something as little as something that's not even the sport, like, okay, the Golden Arches, like having that there can like elevate the game, because at the end of the day, like sports is supposed to be fun. Like, that's what we grew up. It's competitive and fun. That's what we grew up learning. Like, when you first, like, everybody's like first sport is soccer. Like, everybody's first sport is
Not
soccer.
mine.
Not yours.
Not
Yeah.
mine. I
Like,
never played
my
soccer
first
until high
sport,
school.
yeah, my first sport was soccer. Needless to say, my career was very short, but I think it's just that, like, it's like co-ed at the beginning and it's just meant for fun. Like, nobody's like, oh my God, you're a winner, you're a loser. Like, it's all about what are we getting out of it? What lessons are we learning? And I think AU really like devotes time to reinforce the fact that sports are fun and they're meant to be fun, and have fun while you do them, and just like take every opportunity you have and don't take anything for granted. And that's one of the coolest parts about the model of like this new sports revolution.
And there's 4 different leagues, which
Mm-hmm.
is like
Yeah.
the best part. It's growing and growing. Like, I am
Yeah.
so pumped for basketball in January and
Mm-hmm.
February.
Me too. I think it's
Like,
gonna be amazing.
well, since I'm in Illinois and Chicago Sky just won, like,
Yeah.
I'm on a high right now. Still.
Yeah. As you should be, honestly.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. There's something about that team, beating
Yeah.
Phoenix, and like just their journey in general, from Dallas to Minnesota to Connecticut and then
Yeah.
Phoenix.
And having to beat everyone to even get there was
Yeah.
really cool to see them like get through those single elimination games. And then we're like, okay, we're in a series now. And then it's like, okay, we're in the finals and we're still doubted. And it's just it's that like underdog mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something we see in women's sports a lot, is like we grow up being doubted our whole lives. And so when we're finally given the opportunity to thrive, like we really take it and run with it. And I think the Chicago Sky really did that. And it was just cool to like see their parade. Like, and
Yeah.
everybody was like, oh, people don't watch women's basketball. I'm like, did you see the parade? Like,
Yeah.
the amount of people there celebrating with them was just insane. And it really shows the growth of the game of basketball. And I can't wait to see next season. Like, I'm like, can we play again already? Like,
Got
we could just take a month
college
off
hoops.
and then we'll start over.
Yeah. Got
Yeah.
college hoops and AU hoops, and then
Yeah.
there's European stuff
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
happening right now that I don't even follow as much, because it's like they're in another side of the world and
Yeah.
I
It's
want to
time zone.
sleep.
I
And
think that's what's cool about
yeah.
AU hoops, is that these players are going to have the opportunity to not go abroad and play basketball on like in the US, not have to deal with traveling, not have to deal with going to a different team, and just having the opportunity to play with other people that maybe aren't as well known, and learning things from them, but also at the same time, just maybe having some more extra time to rest their bodies. Like
Yeah.
5 weeks is good, because then you have so many months to relax and rejuvenate from the long season, because the WNBA is so long, but then you have AU with this 5 weeks. So you get that extra like practice work in the off season, but at the same time, you're having time to recover. And I think it's really going to help with the longevity of players' careers. Even though we have people like Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi, which I'm like, I don't know how you're still playing. Keep playing. You're amazing. But just seeing that rejuvenation of the sport within the United States is going to be really fun to watch and be a part of.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that Sue Bird doesn't retire, because like I can't handle that right now.
No, me neither. My sister's the biggest like Seattle Storm Sue Bird fan, and I just don't know what to do if she does retire, because I'm just like, one more year. Like, what's one more? Like, and I was listening to to a podcast, and she talked about how like her and Megan Rapinoe have talked about this, but oh my gosh, soccer is so different from basketball, because for basketball, you can sign up for like one more year, but when you're on the US women's national team for soccer, it's like you're signing up for a 4-year cycle. So like she's able to like, Sue Bird is able to take time like after each season and like be like, okay, one more year. Can I do it? Okay, yes. And then go do that one more year, instead of Megan sitting and being like, oh, it's 4 more years, and making that bigger decision. So I think I have my fingers crossed. I'm hoping she plays for another year, and I think it'll do so much for the growth of the game if she does. But at the same time, she was an amazing commentator during the playoffs. After they lost and went home, they brought her on as like a halftime reporter. And I was like, dang, she has a career in this, but at the same time, can you get back on the court and like save that for a little bit longer? But yeah, we'll see where it goes. But she's been instrumental to the growth of the game. And I think she's one of the legends that is always going to be pinpointed as like a champion of women's sports.
I'm such a Sue Bird fan. I'm more of like a UConn fan. I grew up watching UConn basketball for like as long as I could remember. And I almost went to that school. But if any UConn people are listening, I don't like the layout of the school. I think it's a very ugly campus. But that doesn't change my mind on women's basketball. Okay, now that we got that over with, like I literally almost went there last year.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, this is the place where these people go to school. This is where Sue Bird went to school. This is where they went. Are you sure? Like, I didn't think it would look like that, but it did. And it's like, never mind. Reset.
Yeah.
Ooh, agricultural school. People, like, when I tell them that I used to be in agricultural school, they're like, what? And I was like, yeah. And then all you got to do is go there and be like, oh.
Yeah. It's a little too cold for me. Maryland's a little... like this Texas girl is like, Maryland's the extent of coldness.
You think it's cold in Maryland? Have you
sometimes
been here during the winter?
Oh, I've been to Chicago during the winter. It's freezing cold.
There we go.
And windy.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but it's cold in Maryland in the winter months for this Texas girl, because I didn't grow up with being able to last in the cold.
Mm-hmm. Did you buy your first winter jacket when you went out to Maryland?
Yes, I did. Sadly, yes, I did. But yeah,
that's so
didn't have
funny.
that before. Yeah.
That's
It's interesting up here. It's a good experience to go somewhere else for college. And just like, I always dreamed of going abroad. And then I was like, I love my family and that's too far for me. So I was like, what can I do to get like a new culture or a new area feeling? And I was like, let me just go like halfway across the country and know absolutely no one at my school, and just kind of, and I think it's been so beneficial because I've grown so much in the 4 years that I've been here. And I don't think I would have ever had the confidence to start more than just balls, or even just like use my platform to like speak out for others. And so I think taking that new experience has been really beneficial, but it's still cold.
It's still cold. Yeah.
Still cold.
My family listens to the show, and I like to say a few stuff about college because they want me to stay home. I almost went to Loyola Chicago,
Yeah.
also. So I didn't get housing. Like, I already had a bunch of plans there too. Like, I was going to be the manager for the women's basketball team. Like, I already got into that. And then I couldn't find a place to live. But also Chicago, at least in that area, I don't trust it. I don't trust it one bit. And so I was just sitting there like, I think I'm going to stay home. And they went nuts. They went nuts. Like, guys, if you're listening, I don't want to stay home. You can't make me stay home. I want to leave. I don't want to be here. Okay? Let me go live my life, my beautiful college life somewhere. They make fun of me because I want to apply to Utah because they have a great journalism program there. And they're like, what about the Mormons? I'm like, what do you mean, what about the Mormons? They're there.
It's just like, have a different experience. Like, you'll still be yourself, but it's like being in a different environment will help. Like, you'll learn so much, but you'll still like have your values that you have. I don't know.
There you go.
It's weird. Yeah.
You're welcome. You go, family.
There you go.
Looks like I'll be in Salt Lake City next year. No, I don't know. I gotta get in there first, which I don't think will be a problem. Yeah. School.
Yeah, I'm applying to grad school right now, so we're in the same boat.
Getting to school is so hard. So hard.
Yeah.
When are they gonna give us free school?
Or better yet, pay us to go to school.
Yeah,
that'd be fun. Like D3 athletics, we don't get scholarship. We can get like academic or merit-based scholarship, but I'm like, wow, this is fun.
Well, I'm the reason that I talk about this, but I go to school for free because Pell Grants and MAP grants.
Yeah.
Thank you, government.
Yeah.
I guess. And like these HERF funds for COVID.
Yeah.
I don't have to pay for any of my books this year, which has been
that's awesome.
Awesome.
Books are so stressful.
I know. It's like the math. I have a math book over there. It was like $170.
Yeah.
No, I don't want it.
Yeah. College is fun.
College is fun, but expensive and a pain in everyone's side.
Yeah.
That's enough college talk. And sorry, I'm already stressing out. Okay. So we talked about this before we started, but I need you to teach me about lacrosse because I don't know anything about it. And I want to know some stuff about it. I almost started like watching AU lacrosse, but it was like, I am not going to know anything. So I'm going to wait until someone teaches me. I think this is a very great moment for this.
So. Yeah. So I'll give you like a lacrosse 101.
Okay.
So basically how I explain it is it's a combination of soccer and hockey. So you have that like hockey aspect where you can go behind the goal and kind of have a stick, but you also have the soccer aspect to where you have like midfielders, forwards, which we call attackers, and then defenders and a goalie. So it's kind of like the field setup with the hockey feel. And so there's a bunch of rules that are very complicated that sometimes we don't even get. Like there are a bunch of rules changing this year, and we just had our fall ball tournament and we were like, wait, huh? But the premise is we do the draw. So two of the girls line up and they open their sticks kind of like this, and the ref will put the ball into there and then they close it. And basically once they close it, you can't move. And so they blow the whistle. And this is something that I do. I'm a draw specialist. They blow the whistle and you'll shoot it up. So you have to go up and then you'll try and grab it. Or if somebody's like a placer, they'll place it out to the circle. Kind of like the circle of soccer is what we use. And that's how you get possession after every single goal. And so it'll kind of like pass down, kind of like soccer, where you like transition between the midfield to the attack. And then you just try and score. And so it's really fun because you're just passing around, but there's a bunch of strategy and like a couple like basketball moves, like pick and rolls, or just like screens that will happen within like the 8 meter, which is like an arch that like comes from the goal. And then you have the 12, which is around the goal, which is 12 meters away from the goal. And so you could just kind of play around in those. And we kind of set up where it's like 2 behind the goal, 5 up top. And you just like pass the ball around and try and find the open girl. And it's really fun. I'm a more of an attack mind. So I think the defense has a really hard job because it is such a fast moving game. But it's a really fun game to watch, I think personally. And I think with the rules that are changing, they're speeding up the game. And we have a shot clock like basketball. So you have 90 seconds to get down and score. And like 90 seconds feels like a lot of time until you're like, okay, well, there are 5 seconds left. What are we going to do? Yeah. Okay, cool. We got to get in the back of the net. And I think it's so cool to see that we're finally being recognized by the Olympic Committee. And they're starting to hopefully put lacrosse into the Olympics. Like we've had the first step of being recognized. And I think it'll be really cool to see the growth of the game. And I think AU is really elevating it through the way that they're playing with the point systems, taking players off the field. So we usually have 12, and AU decreases that. And they also play with a half field line where we play with like restraining lines, which are at the 30-yard line of the football field. And so it's a really fun, but a lot of running game. And I feel like it's a game that anybody can do. Like you can go out and like throw a ball around, like people throw like a football around. And I think it's something that could be a bonding activity, but at the same time, it's a very competitive sport. So you should give it a try if you can find a stick, because it's really fun. It's kind of like ultimate frisbee, because we were talking about that earlier. I feel like it's the same idea.
Well, lacrosse is very physical.
Yeah.
My shoulder.
Yeah. I mean, me too. But I think also with some of the rules, like we're not allowed to have as much contact as the boys, which sometimes it's like a blessing and a curse, because it's like, I just want to like, let me have some contact. Let me like do some stuff. But at the same time, it's like, they do keep us safe. We don't wear helmets. We don't have any pads on. So some of those rules are there for safety. Even though sometimes I'm like, but it's a fun sport. And I think it really does draw on that aspect of hockey where it's fast paced and you go around the crease, like behind the goal. And I think, especially being a lacrosse, like an attacker in lacrosse, I love the whole strategic thinking that comes with it. And so it's very fun to like roll the crease, which is what they call it. And like score on the goalie coming from behind, because it's kind of like a sneaky aspect to it. But there's your lacrosse 101. You should go watch some now. It's really fun.
Well, I barely have time to do anything, but maybe I'll
it's on YouTube. You can just go look up old games.
Look up some old games.
Yeah. Tutorials.
Yeah.
You can get a stick and start playing. And then, yeah, there you go. You're a lacrosse star.
Okay.
It's easy.
One of my friends that I met in high school, still in high school now, she plays lacrosse. And I think I tried to get her to explain it to me. I don't think she did a good job. So this was better than what she tried to do.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I did a great job either, but it's a very complicated game.
Yeah.
But once you like get your hand in it, it kind of simplifies itself. Like once you start like actually playing, but there are a lot of rules. There are less whistles now than there were for me in high school, but there's a lot of stop start, which is hard sometimes, but once you know the rules, it's an easy game to play and it's really fun and really competitive. And it gets gritty sometimes. Like ground balls are really fun and you get in those circles and you're like, it's mine. And you just kind of like, I don't know. It's so competitive and there's such like a family aspect to lacrosse because everybody's working together for one ultimate goal, to score a goal or stop or get a save. And So it's really fun to see how teams kind of collaborate to meet those goals.
I just thought of something that I think it is pretty damn funny. Did you watch Disney Channel growing up?
Yep.
Do you know what I'm gonna ask you about now?
Yeah.
So for people that have no idea what I'm about to ask, so there's this one Disney Channel original movie. I forgot the name of it, but I know who's in the
it's
movie.
like Sister something. It's like Twist something sister.
I'm gonna look it up. I really like we were talking about this.
Oh my gosh. It was so crazy to like watch that because I was like, yes, finally, like lacrosse. And then I was like, huh?
I'm gonna tell
Same with
you.
Mean Girls, like at the end, like they play lacrosse at the end.
Yeah.
And she's like dodging down the middle of the field, like wrecking people left and right. And you're like, that's not an accurate portrayal of our game, but okay.
It's called Invisible Sister, and it's from
Invisible
2015.
Sister.
It's from 2015. Yeah. It's a DCOM. And I have to ask, you know, what do you think about that one scene where it's like basically, you know what I'm talking about, where they're on the field, like the camera is like in the field and she's playing, like just walk me through that.
Don't remember it to exact points, but I think it's sometimes like that was when I was first like in Texas. We didn't really have lacrosse until like 2014, 2015. So like my 8th grade years when I started. And so I had a little bit of lacrosse experience, but then I saw this movie and I was like, what? And just the way sometimes that it's portrayed, I'm like, well, we're not like meant to be graceful or like look pretty while we're doing it. Like we're supposed to be competitive. And so I think like, and that's something that we see in a lot of women's sports movies. It's like, it's kind of romanticized, for lack of a better term, to where it's like, oh, like women are supposed to be pretty and their uniforms are supposed to be skirts and flowy.
A league of their own.
Yeah, a league of their own. And like seeing that, sometimes I'm like, no, I want you to show like how competitive girls are, because like, come on, like we are competitive and like we really like take the time to like hone our craft. And so seeing movies that kind of like, I don't know, perpetuate the inherently maleness of sports is just kind of a toxic narrative to reinforce. And sometimes it's like, I was like, yes, lacrosse in a movie, that's a win. But at the same time, I'm like, could we portray it to be more competitive and like sporty? But yeah, you win some, you lose some. At least it was in the movie. So I'm just happy there's maybe a couple girls or boys were inspired and started playing lacrosse because of it.
I thought it looked cool during that time. I don't even know how old I was in 2015.
Yeah, I was 15 at that time. So it was like sophomore year of high school.
I was in 8th grade, I think.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
I almost started playing lacrosse, I think. It looked
you
cool.
Should have.
No, that was baseball time. I just got into baseball again.
Yeah. That's okay. I love baseball too, so I'll give you that.
What's your team?
Okay, so it was the Cubs, but that's like really sad now. Yeah, really took a hit this year.
No way. Why would you? What? No.
It's still the Cubs, but like all my favorite people are gone. So it's kind of hard. So I just kind of like
post this now.
What kind of fan? What fan are you? Oh no. Oh yeah, my whole family is Dodgers fans. So
I also like the Dodgers.
Yeah, I kind of like the Dodgers too. Their stadium's kind of amazing. Yeah.
I'm a White Sox fan, so
Chicago Cubs fans. We've had a rough year.
Go Sox.
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't say like any Texas team, because I just don't like those teams.
I'm not, besides Texas football, I'm not a big like Texas fan. Like everybody's like, oh, the Cowboys. I'm like, no. So yeah. You don't get that from me. Not a lot of Texas teams.
I'm just glad you didn't say the Astros because I definitely would have just closed my laptop and walked away.
Nope.
For sure. For sure. Okay. I don't know this Cubs thing though. You got to work on that.
Yikes.
You got to work on that.
Well, I said they all left, so maybe I
Okay,
can't
pick a
work on
new
it.
team. You can have the Mets.
I don't know if that's any better. I kind of just like root for the players that kind of left, and I guess I'll find a new team in the off season. Or maybe I'll stick with the Cubs. We'll see what happens.
Or hear me out. You can go crosstown.
No, sorry.
Okay.
Not happening. Not convinced.
Okay. Jose Abreu, Yohan
I think
Moncada, Tim Anderson.
Your pitcher was nice for a while though that came over. So yeah. You're like, we're done. We're ending the podcast. That's enough.
There goes my day. There goes my wonderful day. Unbelievable. I can't believe we're ending on this note. It's a very sad ending.
Not any fun questions to
show?
Not end on that note?
Okay, what's your basketball team then?
I'm not even going to go there.
Why?
Because I don't really have one. So I just
I'll give you one. I'll give you one. You can be a Raptors fan.
Okay. I was going to say Brooklyn, but okay.
Mm.
I'll work on finding one and get back to you on that.
Okay, what about what would be a good one?
Like WNBA Mystics.
Okay. NHL. What's your NHL team?
I never grew up watching hockey, so I'm just now getting into it with all my friends that are hockey fans up here. So
anything but the Blues, and you're okay.
I wasn't gonna say the Blues. So
okay,
we're good.
What about the PHF? Do you know anything about PHF?
Yeah, I watched them a lot when they were, oh my gosh, the National Women's Hockey League. But I really like the Toronto Six, but also the Connecticut Whales. Like
everyone's jerseys are just phenomenal, and I have no idea.
Jerseys are amazing. Their graphic designers are incredible, and I really respect the work that was put into the branding. And I'm really excited to see where they take this new name, because I think taking that qualifier out of women, like being in the name, is going to elevate the game so much. And I think there have been rumors about the NWSL also changing their name. So I can't wait to see like these leagues start to like take that qualifier off, and like it's really going to enhance the narrative that not all sports are not inherently male. And that's something that I say on More Than Just Balls all the time, is that we have this like traditional form of thinking to where it's like, oh, sports are male and that's it. But it's like, but women have been playing sports since the early 1900s. So, but yeah, I'm really excited to see what they do. And I think the new name is just going to really elevate the game. And I hope that hockey becomes more recognized, because I wish I knew about it when I was younger, because it's so entertaining to watch, so well done. And the women in the league are very talented, and I don't even know how they stay upright. Like I can't skate. So I really respect them for what they do. And it's going to be really cool to see. But yeah.
Gotta find a way to get ESPN Plus, because it's like, I don't want to buy another streaming service.
There's a student discount. There you go. There's college.
There's a student discount.
Student discount. Plus? Yep.
How much? How much is ESPN?
I don't remember, but if you look it up, it's a pretty good chunk.
Pretty good chunk
off.
Okay. Yeah. So as I'm looking this up, let's see, how much is it? In summary, did you lie? Did you lie to me?
There is
they
one.
Said no.
I think it's combined with like some other. I'll send it to you later if I find it. But I
Okay.
think it's cool that they're going to be on ESPN Plus because that makes it more accessible. So that'll be fun.
Interesting.
We're all about putting women's sports on TV.
Yes. Even if for right now it's a freaking streaming service.
Even if it's ESPN Plus, but it's still a win.
It's still a win. And we're gonna end on that note. Better than the freaking
It's a win.
Better than the freaking Cubs thing. Jesus. Anyway, then now's the time to plug away. Go ahead.
You can follow me on More Than Just Balls, at More Than Just Balls on Instagram, at More Than Balls on Twitter, and then my personal accounts are all at Kaylen B_13. Make sure you follow all the AU accounts as well, because AU is really going to change the game for women's sports, and I can't wait to be a part of, to see the growth and continue to see it currently. So yeah, that's all my plug-in. Follow Women's
Great.
Sports Matter.
Wow. Are you trying to you want to do my ending spiel?
Nope, you could do your ending spiel. Go right ahead.
My ending spiel, I feel like it's a little bit too much sometimes, and afterwards I'm out of breath. But it's okay, everything is fine. Okay, it's time for the ending spiel. Am I prepared for this? No.
Yes.
If you want to follow me on social media, guess what? You can. I'm on 3 different platforms: Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Twitter and Facebook, it's the same handle. It's at WSM Podcast. And on Instagram, you can follow me at Women's Sports Matter. I also have a YouTube channel that I'm trying to get all my freaking episodes up that I don't have the time, and maybe I'll do it when I have time off during Thanksgiving break because, school, work during that time. So that is the Women's Sports Matter podcast. So if you want to subscribe, we're like 9 subscribers strong. Yeah, if you haven't gotten vaccinated yet and you're still listening to the show, like, what the hell are you doing? Like, I keep telling you guys to get vaxxed, okay? Vaccines.gov. It's linked down below in the description. Put your address in, find the nearest vaccine site near you. Like, if you need to get your booster, you don't know where to go, like, what's the closest place to my house? I just gave you a freaking resource. There you go. Also, there's other beautiful resources down below, like there's a register to vote link, there's a link for NAMI, there's a link for the Trevor Project, there's all that great resource stuff. Woo! And there's more, I think. I don't know. I'm on other shows. I've collaborated with other people. My friends at the Final Third podcast, done a few episodes with them talking about the NWSL. So if you want to check that out, also link down below. Hey, there was an article written about me, which is crazy. Like, I don't expect any of this stuff, So if you want to go read about that and watch my interview, it's also linked down below. Oh, subscribe to the podcast. I feel like that's important to say. People should subscribe. You should follow on Spotify. Yeah, subscribe. Rate me on Apple Podcasts. Tweet about my show. Like, if you like this show and you're a fan and you're not interacting with me on social, we have a problem here. I want to interact with more people. So hey, hit me up on social. I also have my email listed down below if you're someone that would like to come on the show or know someone that would want to come on the show. Use that at your disposal. I should make an episode about all the spam emails that I get from that, because it's crazy. I'll get emails saying oh, there's $4 million with your name on it. All you got to do is reply to my email. I got it in the Bank of the Ivory Coast or whatever, and it's like,
don't click that link.
Have you seen that? There's 2 TED Talks from this one guy who talks about how he answered these people. And he was like, That's my favorite TED Talk.
Watch that TED Talk.
I'm gonna link those TED Talks down below because they're so funny
below
and so worth it. I love those so much. It's like him just messing with these people that are trying to scam him. It's awesome. I'm obsessed with those TED Talks so much because it's just
that's a great
content.
resource.
Yeah, it's a great resource. That's going in the
Teaching people
resource tab.
not to touch spam.
But yeah, I think that's my spiel. I don't have anything else to promote.
Well, thank you for having me on the
Yeah.
podcast. It was really fun.
Thank you for coming on, and can't wait to see what other content you're gonna push out. And obviously, like, we'll chat some more. And
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. Good luck with the rest of your school year.
You too.
Fun. Ha!
Yeah.
Ha! No. I
Woo.
don't need luck. I don't need any luck. I'm just gonna suffer with my 6 classes. But yeah, that's gonna do it for today's episode. Thank you again so much for listening to another episode of the When Sports Matter podcast. My name is Gianna Castro, and I'm your host. I'll see you next week, where I'm interviewing a hockey player. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. I guess it's kind of cool. I'm interviewing a PHF player. We're gonna talk about some controversies that have happened with Barstool. Hopefully, if we're allowed to talk about that, I gotta ask her. And yeah, so thank you again for listening. And that's all, folks.